Welcome to a couple of bunkies.
Okay, so this is going to be a 3-part series where I make 3 different cutting boards. I'm going to use the first part for preparing the wood for all 3 videos. So if you've seen the first video, please cut to this point right here to see where you left off. To start off this process, I used 2 cherry boards that I had planed earlier. I mark and cut the boards in an area where I know I can get at least 8 cutting boards out of after I resaw the material, trying to avoid any knots or imperfections. These 2 10-foot boards will make a total of 16 cutting boards with plenty of leftovers for other projects. I used the table saw to give myself a flattened edge on each of the boards. This will help me resaw the material and join the boards later. I grouped the boards together based on look and grain. The cutting boards we're putting together are going to be around 10 inches by 10 inches. So this gives me plenty of area in which I can get rid of any of the imperfections in the wood. My wife ended up getting me this brand new glue bottle, and it was perfect for this project. But after a week of use, it ended up getting very gunked up and ended up having to throw it away. Looking back at this part, I'm wishing that I would have resawn the material and then butt jointed them together instead of butt joining them together and then resawing them on the bandsaw. After the boards are glued and clamped, I set them in the other room in order to cure. Now I run the butt jointed boards through the planer so that they end up being nice and flush. And now I start resawing all of the boards. We're using a 14-inch jet bandsaw with a 1/4-inch resaw blade. Now I can open up this piece of wood just like it was a book. After doing the same to all the other boards, now I can run them through the planer. We had made a handful of heart charcuterie boards a couple years ago. We ended up getting an order and wanting to do 4 charcuterie boards in a similar fashion. Only thing is that I needed to scale them up so they would fit in a 10-inch by 10-inch square. And if you enjoyed this content, consider liking and subscribing. And ring the bell icon to get notifications on new videos. So after redoing the scale and printing out the paper, I cut out the paper templates and start working on making more permanent templates. My goal anymore is to try to set up all of my projects in which I can make them more repeatable. So I want to spend the extra time in order to make a more permanent jig. So I'm going to be making some wooden templates with these paper templates. So first I need to cut out the paper templates and attach them to a piece of wood and cut out that piece of wood. This is actually the first time I've ever used this scroll saw, and I honestly love how fast and how silent it is. There's a real advantage of wooden templates. One of the big ones is I can use the wooden templates and glue them right on a piece of wood and cut out the template right away with a router table. Now I should be able to use the template and a flush trim router bit in order to cut out these projects with the template. But I ended up having a couple close calls with the router bit, and I decided to go ahead and cut these by hand with the bandsaw. Now I take the parts over to the sander and I sand down all the surfaces and give it a little bit of a round over. I touch up each of these boards with the oscillating sander as well. After sanding these cutting boards, you dunk them in a bucket of water in order for the grain to raise, and then you sand them over one more time. I'm using a cutting board oil that is a type of mineral oil rated for food contact. You start off by pouring a healthy amount on the top of the cutting board. You rub the oil in the grain of the wood or in a circular direction. And I wipe off any of the excess. You can repeat the process if you come upon any dry spots, and you let the cutting boards dry overnight. And here's the final result.